Hello, in today's video, my group consisting of Jolie, Dedrick, Rafael, Winona, and myself are going to demonstrate and explain on installing and configuring a proxy server, file sharing server, and network monitoring server. We will first start with the proxy server. The proxy server we'll be installing is Squid. First, we'll start by logging in to the super user and then upgrade our outdated repository. Then it's pretty straightforward. We'll just type apt install squid. After installing squid, we'll need to copy the squid so that we can back it up. Then use nano to open the configuration file. In the configuration file, there's a special section where we write our access lists and rules. The requirement for this test is only to block YouTube and Facebook, and all other connections can go through. I'll start by creating two ACL, one for allowing the local network and the other one as a file containing domains to block YouTube and Facebook. Below the ACL, we will need to type in the rule such as allowing it or denying it. We will allow connection through local net and denying connections to YouTube and Facebook. We will also need to change so that any connections are allowed after blocking connections to block site. Save the configuration file and exit, then use nano again to enter the block site domain file. Type in both YouTube and Facebook domain. Then save and exit. Finally, restart Squid. And go to your internet browser. In the proxy settings, we insert our proxy server IP and port, then save the changes. Next, just open YouTube and Facebook. You could see the proxy server is refusing connections, but connection to Wikipedia and Twitter would be perfectly fine. Next, a file sharing server or Nextcloud. As usual, log into the super user first, then update and upgrade the repository. Then we need to install a few services ahead for the prerequisites of Nextcloud, such as Apache 2. Then MySQL. After installing MySQL, enter the root user of MySQL. Then create a database called Nextcloud. Then make a new user for the Nextcloud database. Grant all functions to that user. Lastly, flush the privileges and exit. Next is installing PHP 7.4. We will also need to install a few other modules of PHP so that our Nextcloud can work properly. Now we get to the part where we install Nextcloud. Use the wget command, then paste in the link to download Nextcloud zip file. unzip the recently downloaded zip file to the /var/www directory. Then change the ownership of the directory. Then we use nano to make some changes in the default conf file. Directly paste the script from Nextcloud website and change the server name to your server's name. Then save and exit. Lastly, restart Apache. Open your browser and type in your server's domain or server's IP. You will see the home screen of Nextcloud. Just enter username and password, then enter your database information such as user, password, name, then click install. Go to the Activity tab and click on New User. There will be a pop-up screen, so you'll just need to enter a username, password, email, and group. Then you can add a new user. I'll just skip ahead where I'll make the users of my entire teammate. Direct to the File tab. Now I'm going to upload the file from my account. The file is going to be a txt file consisting of my teammate's name, Don't forget to add the other account in the shared list so that the account can download the file. I'll then log out and log in to another user. And when you go into the Files tab, you can see the txt file. The last server we'll be installing is a network monitoring server or LibreNMS. Like the previous one, we move into the super user first, then update and upgrade our repository. Then we try installing Nginx service. After finished installing Nginx, we need to install other services as prerequisites such as a software properties command. Then add a repository and updating it to our machine. Then installing ACL, curl, composer, etc. Then we need to add a LibreNMS user, and the next step is cloning LibreNMS from GitHub. First, you have to move into the /opt directory, then paste in this command to start cloning. After the clone has completed, we need to set the permissions so that we can read and write it through root. Then change it to the LibreNMS user and install the remaining PHP dependencies using this command. Then exit the LibreNMS user. We then need to change the time zones in 3 separate locations. First, use nano to open and edit the php.initial file in FPM. Then, search for time zone. Remove the semicolon and then type in your time zone. Save and exit the file. Next is the CLI file. Same as before, use nano to edit the file, then change the time zone to yours. Then we also need to change the system's time and date to match the php.initiate file. You can use date command to check if it's changed or haven't. Then we need to configure MariaDB. Before that, let's apt install MariaDB server to make sure it's really installed. Paste this command and use nano to edit the file. Insert this 2 line at the bottom of my SQLD section, then save and exit. Then enable and restart MariaDB. Next, type in MySQL-u root, then make a database, user, password, and granting the privileges to the user, flash and exit. Then we need to configure the php-fpm file. First, copy the www.conf file to the LibreNMS.conf file. Then use nano to open the recently copied file. Change the www to LibreNMS. Also change user and group to LibreNMS. Then change listen to unique name. Save and exit the file. Then we need to configure the web server. Paste this code and use nano to edit. Then paste in this configuration and edit server name as required. Save and exit. Then don't forget to remove the Nginx default web page. Restart both Nginx and PHP. Then we need to enable LNMS command completion. This feature grants you the opportunity to use tab for completion on LNMS commands. Then we need to configure the SNMPD. Copy the SNMPD configuration example file to a non-example file. Then use nano to open the file. Edit the text that says random string and change it to your community string. Save and exit the file. Then use curl to get the LibreNMS agent file in GitHub and set its permission. Then enable and restart SNMPD. Then go to your internet browser and type in your server's IP. In the configure database section, enter your password to check your credentials. Then click build database. Next, create an admin user. Just type in a username, password, and email of your choosing, then click add user. Then click on validate your install. Just do what the command says if there's any error, then log in using the previously made username and password. Next is monitoring our servers using LibreNMS. I've opened 3 servers at once and pinged them to Google for the first 20 minutes. Then I stop the ping for around 10 minutes, then start pinging again for 30 minutes. This is the graph for my LibreNMS server after the ping on Google. You could see the spike down is when I stop pinging, and the spike up again is when I start pinging again. And for the second server, you could also see the graph first spike up during the first ping, and then spike down after I stop pinging, and another huge spike up when I ping again. You could see other information as well. You could see the availability rate in a day. It has 88.9% availability rate. You could also see the rates of a week, a month, and a year. In the poller section, there are so much more information than just ping response like I show you in the 2 previous servers. You could see poller modules performance to see the overall poller performance. And you can see how long did the poller were used. There's also a way to check your device health. You could see an overview, a sort of conclusion of all the health scanners. You can also monitor how many memories your device has consumed, the disk usage your device uses, the disk I/O, and the voltage.